for human beings where the spiritual ascension has been this fast. And so, of course, it's challenging. Of course, it's not going to look pretty. Of course, it's going to put us on our knees. Of course, it's going to come and show us the dark places within that have not been healed. Of course, also some of our gifts are going to start showing up in the most random ways, and that is one of them. When you're starting to notice and you have sovereignty for your own body and your own energy, you start noticing like, oh, you start being so much more discerning. So this is fascinating because energy moves. And if we tap into someone's field, literally it took us a meditation to drop in. That's all. Okay, so it's big. And it's just to show you that we, back in the days, we used to use telepathy. That's how we used to communicate, just by feeling heart to heart.
Welcome to the Energy Upgrade Podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Grutman. And if you are a high-achieving woman, a successful entrepreneur, an inspiring entrepreneur, or just a woman with kick-ass big dreams, you're in the right place. If you value your energy, your health, if you want to be a biohacker, tap into longevity, if you want to raise the impact you have in this lifetime, you're going to have a lot of fun around here. As a second-time seven-figure business creator, certified health practitioner, and soul biohacker, I'm here to reconnect you to your energy, to the soul of your business, and to your superpowers. Let's go. Welcome home.
Welcome back to another episode of the Energy Upgrade Podcast. This is your host, Vanessa Grutman. Today, I felt like giving you a special access into what actually happens in my signature program, Femme Biohacker. Now, I would lie if I was saying that this program is not going to go under some changes. And when I say changes, I should actually say upgrades. Because yes, you guessed it, like everything else in my brand, this trip, this voyage to Egypt definitely brought some massive activations in my field. And I just can't help but really bring all of my clients on this journey with you. But what was really interesting also for me as part of, right now behind the scenes, I'm working on the evolution of Femme Biohacker, which is going to remain the container is going to remain the group of light leaders and women visionaries in business is going to remain, but the conviction, the mission of it is going to amplify even more because I'm so clear now that my job is to transmit through frequency, the possibility and the ways that we can align our business, that we can align our purpose with our soul mission, that we can also ascend. So really by tapping into those spiritual gifts and this remembrance, we can activate our light body. And this is how we actually, when you hear about things being effortless, and I'm saying quote unquote, if you're watching on YouTube, effortless means it's an extension of who you are. You don't have to force anything. It just unfolds. And this can only happen if you actually allow life force to move through you by activating that light body, by really releasing energetically some densities, energetically and in the 3D. So in your form, in your body. And definitely I've been going through all of this big time in the last 2 months. And I know it's not done. It's still a work in progress, but it gets me so excited for what's ahead. So going back to today's episode, what I felt is I wanted to give you an idea, if you were a fly on the wall, of what it looks like to be in this high frequency container with me and with the group every week. In fact, this is a question I get every week. People are asking me, is there a way to come and trial? Is there a way to come just for a session to get the vibe? And unfortunately, at this point, because to me, this container is so sacred, I need people to really want to be there. I want people to be all in when they show up because that protects the energy and the frequency of our field that we are creating in there. And so what I decided today is to actually do the opposite and bring that to you. And you're going to notice I'm going to give you the first 20 minutes of the transmission, which happened a couple of weeks ago in Fan Biohacker. And we meet like this every week. And I'm going to cut it right before we open and break into a more of a mastermind where people get some hot seat coaching. But you'll get the gist of the kind of teachings we do in there. And this time I wanted to talk about the importance of protecting yourself energetically, especially as now the people that are really wanting to go in their light are going to see a rapid acceleration in their field. And the people that are still sticking to fear and that are still making that their main frequency, there's going to start to be a bit of a division um, between us walking in light and people that are really, really resisting what was and are wanting the status quo and really hanging on. And that might be you. As I'm saying this, like just be sure to assess where are you at on the spectrum, because there's going to be a divide more and more over the next couple years that is going to make itself extremely palpable, extremely real. And it's so, in order for you to really, if you're already starting to feel that, what really is going to be extremely important is to start being energetically sovereign of our body, of our energies. And in this masterclass, that's exactly what I shared. So without further ado, let's come and be like I'm allowing you, I'm opening the doors, the sacred doors, so you can be a fly on the wall and pretending you're right now sitting across like or in a round table at a queen's table. You get a place at the table and you get to listen with this level of intention. So enjoy. I'll see you at the end. Today I'm going to talk about energy. Surprise, surprise. I'm just gonna trust what's been coming up for me, and we're just gonna see where it takes us. First of all, obviously you've been seeing, maybe you saw some of the stuff that happened in Mexico last week. It felt like, as always, whenever we meet heart to heart, soul to soul, there's just this deep remembrance that takes place. There's just something that's hard to describe that happens. And um, why it was special for me is because it became very, very clear that part of my medicine needs to take place in person. So it became really clear. So you can expect some new invitations, opportunities, even amongst this group. I'm really working hard on trying to see how could I really allow you to tap into the full frequency of your highest self without taking 4 years, without taking a year, like making it happen. Like I saw it happen in 5 nights, over and over again last week. And so for me, it's extremely powerful to witness that and to be like, okay, there's really something that happens when there's actually human connection. Now, of course, we do it here, but I'm feeling the call to like accelerate that. And I feel like all of you are feeling that call as well, based on the feedback and the messages I was receiving. And that's really cool. So I think we're all feeling it. I think we're all like, okay, like we're doing such an amazing job here, yet there's more. And so that's kind of what I've been feeling, and I know that's what you've been feeling too. And yeah, like Stacey, I know you've been with us, you were following us, and it was a really interesting. Um, it was my first retreat post Egypt leading, and what happened for me was that I really typically I would go back to my room at night after holding so much energy and then just like, doing posts and stories. And I did that the first night or two. And then after that, I was like, I just don't have the energy. So I'm just going to honor that. And I'm just going to be fully present. And I'm going to release all the old. So it kind of came up again, like, this. And then I just kind of fully dropped in. And hopefully, if you were there, you felt that like I just was like fully all in, present, and giving myself permission to be in that energy, and trusting that that's what needed to happen. And I'm saying this because I know all of you are like me, type A, high achieving. You like to be everywhere at the same time, to support as many people as possible. Yet sometimes there's times where it's like less is more. Less is more. And right now, the energy is so potent. It's so ripe. Literally the kind of miracles we're witnessing. Um, we had a woman that came in with a couple diagnostics of cancer with like insane symptoms, and by the end of the retreat, she was symptom free. She had been sleeping through the night. She was laughing again. She felt like she was given the second chance, the second life. And I'm sharing this only because it's like it was really important for me to witness that and be like, okay, so we don't do woo woo. Like it feels like it, but we're like literally we're changing everybody's biology and DNA, and we're actually creating ascension. So that was really, really, really cool to witness and see. And that gave me extra motivation. So Natalie on Monday talked a lot about energy protection. And so I wanted to do another layer on that because I feel like that's really big. It always is every spring because people are kind of like fidgety, like coming out, like, there's so much energy that's been building through winter that wants to come out. And let me know if you resonate with that in the chat, if you're feeling that. I'm really picking that up. Like people are like, okay, I'm ready. I don't know quite how, what, where, but there's something that wants to come out. Like it's like and this is the typical spring energy. Now, all of you as leaders in your own realms, as leaders in your own communities and audiences, it's really important that you are the grounded one. And that's what happened last week for me. I couldn't play in that energy. I had to be the grounded one. And and that was really, really amazing what happened when I did that. So I want to do another layer on the importance of grounding your energy and the importance of yes, absolutely working on the vision, absolutely working on planting seeds, but at the same time, like really tripling down on you being the light and the grounded light. Okay, so does that feel like that is going to be helpful and you need that? I'm seeing some nods. Okay. Um, okay, so you all know how to ground. Of course, water is going to be your best friend. Water in all its forms, by the way. It could be tears, cleansing waters, right? Waters outside of you. So it could be a bath, could be using salt as well, Epsom salt. It could be drinking water. Make sure it's high quality water, but emotional water. Remember, your internal waters, most of it comes from emotions and your blood. So anytime there's tears or anytime there's a movement, we're creating flow again. So we want to invite whatever emotion is coming up. Now, what's really important also as you feel those emotions and allow these waters, so that this cleansing process, just something that's really interesting about water is I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but let's say the water in the ocean, the water in the lake, the water in your tap, the water in your it's all the same water that's always been on planet Earth. Right? So it's all the water that's always been here, that's been through all our lifetimes. It's the same water that is circulating. Can you feel that? So water holds memory, and you can shift the memory that it holds just through consciousness, just by bringing your attention to it. But it's actually super fascinating when you start seeing water for really what it is, which is a remembrance, an opportunity to tap into a higher consciousness, what instead of just being water. And it's so interesting the parallel between the outside, so the water outside of us in our environment and the waters inside of us. We're clear that we're made of at least 70% water. Some people say 99. Okay, so we are a lot of water. Absolutely. Yeah, it's so essential. And in this moment of like, if I want to use the word effervescence, with spring, there's just a lot of energy. Also in like the galactic, the cosmic, it's just wild right now. And so it's really important that first of all, you notice that you don't think you're going crazy. Okay, because I've been reminding some of you of that. You're not going crazy. We're all feeling that. And so really embracing this concept of like union with water, because water gives you the codes that you need actually when you pay attention to it. So being really, really careful about that, allowing the tears as well. Now, what's also interesting is, and Natalie touched on it a little bit for the empath, but I do believe that all of us, if we are in this room, there's a part of us, even if it didn't come up in your top three intuition, we all are to a certain extent pretty big feelers, right? Like we have a higher emotional intelligence than most people. That's why we're in this room. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. And so, really checking in. And this is something that I don't know if you've been building the tools for this. Like, what is mine and what is not mine? So, and that includes feelings in your body. So sometimes you'll feel, and that happened to me last week where I walked into the room at one point for a workshop and my back started to hurt. I was like, okay, wait, is this mine? Or is this someone else? Because I was so connected to everyone. Like, oh, I don't know. Actually, I'm going to go and check. And often, we don't take the time to just pause and ask ourselves that. We'll just pop a Tylenol or an Advil and just move on. Let's go. But here, in this season, I really invite you, because you are a pillar of light, people are going to be wanting to cling. Okay, and let me know if you've already started feeling this. People are going to want to cling. They're going to want some of what you have. And they're not necessarily going to be able to verbalize it or communicate it in a clear way. And it might show up in old patterns. It might show up in just this weird energetic exchange. You might feel like, so just follow your intuition when it comes to that. But the one layer more I'd love for you to do in this season is just to pause whenever your body is speaking to you, whenever you have really strong emotions coming through. It could be yours, but it also could not be yours. So just sit with it. Usually I bring my hands on my body, just close my eyes, and sometimes it's really just a 30-second thing. Okay. Um, and to prove you that you have this power, I want to talk about something that we did last week. It's called family constellations. I don't know if anybody's ever done that. Maybe let me know in the chat if you've ever done family constellations, this kind of workshop. So family constellations is essentially, the way we did it is as a triangle where someone brings in their intention, their question, and then the two other people, one person is their body and the other person is their mind. And I'm bringing this up because the reason why I wanted this to be part of the retreat last week is to actually show you how much more intuitive you are than you think. Because what was incredible is that people started feeling things in their bodies that weren't theirs. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this pain in my back. Like, what is this? And then people started seeing visions that weren't theirs. It was the person that was getting the family constellation done. So this is fascinating because energy moves. And if we tap into someone's field, literally it took us a meditation to drop in. That's all. Okay. So it's big. And it's just to show you that back in the days, we used to use telepathy. That's how we used to communicate, just by feeling heart to heart, by feeling our connection. You still have these gifts within yourself. It's just right now, sometimes we feel our body is doing something and automatically we think it's ours and we think there's something wrong with us. And it's just reinforcing the loop of whatever belief we've had about ourselves and our bodies. When in fact, it might just be that the client you had right before you, it might just be someone you had an interaction with on Instagram. It could be your mom, it could be your friend, it could be your sister that just texted you. So because we are playing with this energetic field that is in the quantum where absolute everything is available, past, present, future, the lines get blurred. And it's really important as we are walking into this rapid acceleration. Like we are in a time of acceleration. In fact, I was reading something, I think yesterday, it was saying like, there's never been a time ever for human beings where the spiritual ascension has been this fast. And so, of course, it's challenging. Of course, it's not going to look pretty. Of course, it's going to put us on our knees. Of course, it's going to come and show us the dark places within that have not been healed. Of course, also some of our gifts are going to start showing up in the most random ways, and that is one of them. When you're starting to notice and you have sovereignty for your own body and your own energy, you start noticing like, oh, you start being so much more discerning. And as the leaders in this rapid acceleration, we must be discerning. We must be the leaders. So it's really powerful. Um, yeah, I'm glad to see that so many of you have played with that. And it's, it's really funny right now. I'm just seeing like that. These are the biggest strategies you could ever have in your business at this moment. More than any funnel. If you become discerning of your energy, if you become that pillar, that unshakable pillar of light for others, if you really become this person that is not scared of showing their truth, that's going to that's going to put you on the highway more than any email sequence and more than any other strategy. Do you feel that? Now, I'm not saying the strategies are not important. I'm just saying right now in this spring season of really busy, kind of frantic energy, your role is to stay right here, grounded, and maybe just open more, open and let us see more of you. And that was the conversation I had with every woman last week during the retreat. And I'm bringing it here. All you got to do is feel safe to open that flower a little bit more, just so we can see all the beauty that you are holding on to, just so we can see. So today, as we're talking about energy sovereignty and we're talking about, being able to discern what is mine, what is yours, also tapping into these gifts of connection. Yeah, of course, flower blooming. I want you to really ask yourself, what is that one thing you've been sitting on that you've been feeling fearful of sharing? For a lot of you, it's your mystical side. For a lot of you, it's your spiritual side. And that's why you're here. Did you know there's a hidden archetype secretly creating your reality? Not the version of you show to the world, but the one shaping your choices, your energy, and the timeline you're living in. I created a quiz to help you uncover her. It's called the Hidden Archetype Guiding Your Next Reality Quiz, and it reveals the feminine frequency that is running beneath your life right now, and the identity your soul is ready to rise into. You'll find out which archetype is holding your current timeline: the Phoenix, the Oracle, the Sovereign, the Mystic, or the Dream Weaver, and the portal that leads you into your next evolution. Seriously, take 3 minutes. Meet the version of you that's been waiting. The quiz is linked in the show notes. For a lot of you, there's so much more depth in you. And can you see that this is actually what you're being asked to showcase right now? And it's interesting because I have been, speaking to many of you, and you've been feeling frustrated the past couple months because sales aren't coming out and launches are feeling flat and things are feeling like, oh, what's happening? Right? Who's feeling that? And what's happening is everything that needs to happen for you to realize that you're not off, but you just need to tilt the direction just a little bit, going back to the full truth. And so the discomfort you've been feeling, which comes in the form of financial discomfort often, is actually the greatest gift. So what I invite you is if you've been feeling like, oh, people aren't jumping into this like I thought they would, or people are not, I'm not having sales. Yeah, Stacy, Stacy, I've been feeling that a lot for you, like massive. Well, for a lot of you actually, but Stacey, I know you've been sharing it, how it's like, okay, but where are the sales? I'm used to this. I'm used to it looking a certain way. And meanwhile, you've been like this butterfly in the making, kind of in your cocoon. And now you have this new branding, this new imagery. And like I shared with you, the most important thing. And oh my gosh, 7 women. right now it's like, oh, they're all coming in and it's so effortless. You have nothing to do. But that's because you decided as you came out of this cocoon to show your true color. But I think the big shift for you is actually you've shown your depth without being scared that people wouldn't get it. Just because you grounded yourself. That's what I feel for you. You grounded yourself, and that included a couple months of, more dark than usual, but you grounded yourself. You did the inner work. You allowed yourself to see what was out of alignment, and it became very clear. And now it's like, here we go. So I'm so happy for you. And I see that in so many of you. So again, at this time of year, um, this is very different than what I used to teach because so normally, okay, at this time of year, I would be inviting you to think about what kind of summer you want to have, how much freedom you want to have this summer. I would normally invite you to do a scale, like a work back schedule and see what is it you need to launch now in order to plant the seeds for that. Okay, so that's normally what I would do in spring. And today I was actually asking myself, like, is that what I want to say? And I was like, no, actually, we're staying here right now. Like, what feels great right now? Because I'm seeing the energy is moving so fast that actually you're already going to be a different identity, a different version of you by summer. You're just evolving all of you so fast. And so let's just get out of the way. Let's just start planting the seeds in the here and now with so much intention, with that open heart, with that remembrance of our truth, knowing that that's actually the greatest, boldest CEO move we can do is to actually show up as who we truly are right now and start inviting people in what feels really like a hell yes today and trusting that's enough. Like me, I have not been able to plan anything past June. Even if I tried, like normally I would. Normally I have my year planned. This year I'm like, actually, I already know there's so many other versions wanting to come through. So I'm just going to create space for that. So, and actually, money will find its way to you in a much more like effortless way. I can tell you this because I've been witnessing that. It's just like, oh, wow, okay, here we go. It's like it's really magnetic when you allow yourself to be right now. And I'd love to know maybe if you could let me know in the chat or if you want to raise your hand and speak and use your voice. But I'd love to see as I'm sharing this, I'm sharing about, energy sovereignty. I'm sharing about coming out of hiding, allowing your true nature to come out. Speaking about, what is it that you can create as an invitation for your clients right now without really projecting yourself too far out. What are the inner thoughts coming up right now? Like, what are you feeling like your body or your soul or your mind, probably your mind, is resisting at this moment when I say that? It would be interesting to have a little back and forth because there's so much breakthroughs when we're able to actually sit in whatever is resisting. So maybe your head right now is like, yeah, but I have this planned and it's got to look this way and I need to make this much money in this month. Like, just listen to what is coming up and observe it. Now, I hope that this was a powerful session. I hope that it got you to think about maybe a few different practices you could implement in your daily routine. Perhaps also how you could slow down and check in with your body, with your emotions, with your water, seeing how you feel. Now, as I mentioned, of course, I cut this clip right before we went into more of hot seat coaching, and that is just for confidentiality purposes. But you can imagine that having this type of container multiple times a month and this level of accountability with women who are walking the same path as you is extremely rich in someone's life, especially, and I don't know about you, but I don't really have these people in my immediate circle. So it's really, really precious to be able to align yourself with people who share that same view of the world, who share the same desire of wanting to impact, of wanting to amplify their light so that they can create the change they want to see in the world instead of feeding into the chaos that we are being shown and really holding the light. Because if none of us are holding the light, it's gonna get pretty doomy over here, and we don't want that. Um, and I know it's because I have hope in one of my human design profiles, maybe, but I just love to keep the light because I do believe that, for our children and our grandchildren's sake, and for the sake of this planet and the mysteries over here, I want the timelines to accelerate. I want the revelations to come forward. I want the truth to come forward. I want us to be able to tap into the wisdom of the ancient civilizations that we have been like on purpose not been given access to. Really, when you think about it, that is really what prompted this whole shift in myself when I went to Egypt. It was being able to see it with my own eyes and realize that nothing that we had been told was actually the truth. What we had been sold was the illusion of our history, the illusion that we are the most advanced at this in this era right now, when in fact it's so not the truth. And so I think as we recollect those old fragments of our soul, these old remembrance, there's parts of us that are going to be activated, that are going to come online, and that are going to want to put these gifts forward. I hope that this was helpful, and I can't wait to see you. The next episode, I'm going to say, it's probably going to be a pretty big one. So I would recommend to come back for that one. See you next week.
The information shared on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't provide any medical advice. Vanessa Grutman does not cure, diagnose, or treat disease. Please consult your physician before trying any new protocol or product.